we thought it's the right time for us to launch our series called Miracle Babies on Cloud9. For lack of better words, they are miracle babies. What better day than World Prematurity Day to launch this? We have guests, Dr. Havisha, Dr. Vikas, and Master Suvir, who will be joining us today. They have agreed to be our guests despite they have been so busy in the last few days, and we have not given them much notice at all. So please do welcome Dr. Vikas and Dr. Havisha, and thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It's our
Thank
pleasure.
you so much, sir. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you. World Prematurity Day, people may think that it's been there for a long time. In fact, Cloud9 was started in year 2006, and we were always talking about prematurity and raising awareness. World Prematurity Day was coined in 2008 by the European Foundation for the Care of Newborn Infants, in other words, EFCNI, to raise awareness of the challenges and burden of preterm birth globally. So it's not been that long the preterm awareness has been raised by the European societies. Now it has become a worldwide movement. So we are very, very glad that this has happened, because prematurity is a major problem around the world, and approximately 15 million babies are born preterm, accounting for 1 in 10 babies born worldwide who are premature. Premature birth is the leading cause of death in children under the age of 5 worldwide, purely because of the lack of facilities and lack of awareness and lack of proper facilities in the appropriate places. For preterm babies who survive, the additional burden of prematurity-related disability has been overblown, and that may affect families and health system purely because of the golden hour of the treatment which is required. So what we wanted to do is, through this series, we wanted to raise awareness, allay the myths and the fears associated with the preterm births, and hopefully any questions or concerns which you may have will be answered with this series of videos. The global theme for the World Prematurity Day 2021 is Zero Separation Act Now. What does it mean? Whenever there is a premature baby born, most of the hospitals in the past have separated the parents and not allowed the babies to be meeting at all till their discharge. And that leads to a lot of anxiety, both for the parents and also emotional problems for the babies. We have to keep the parents and the babies born too soon together for better outcome. So the aim of this year is, throughout the world, irrespective of what the gestation of the baby, if they're born too soon, they should be allowed to meet the parents soon after birth, not after a month, not after a week, not after 24 hours. In India, among the 27 million babies born annually, 3.6 million babies are born preterm. Over 300,000 babies of these babies die each year because of associated complications or lack of facilities. This, considering the statistics in India, does not include extremely premature babies, that is less than 28 weeks. You have to understand, 28 weeks or under are not even counted viable according to the current laws in India. So we welcome Dr. Vikas and Dr. Havisha this afternoon to talk about their story. And to start with, if I can ask Dr. Vikas and Dr. Havisha to tell their background, what do they do, and when did they plan to have a baby, after how many years of knowing each other? Over to you, Dr. Vikas first, and then Dr. Havisha.
Thank you, sir. I think Havisha can go first.
I'm Dr. Havisha. We are basically from Bangalore, and I've done my Ayurvedic medicine. And actually, Dr. Vikas is my first cousin itself. So we knew each other for many years, but we decided and we got married in 2009. Yeah, and Vikas can go.
Yes, thank you. So, sir, I am, of course, a general physician, and I did an MBA and moved into administration after that. And these days, I call myself a digital trainer. So, this is my short background. And as Havisha said, yes, we had known each other very long. And we got married in 2009. And 2012, early 2012 was when we decided that it's time to start a family. But of course, at that time, little did we know about the path that is ahead of us.
So you knew each other for a long time. So it's a love come arranged marriage in that sense.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely, sir.
So Vikas or Havisha, please tell us about your pregnancy experience. Once you planned to have a baby in 2012,
Yeah.
how long did you have to plan for this? And tell me about your experience with the pregnancy and the delivery.
Okay. Actually, 2009 we got married, and we decided to have a child 2 years later, around 2011 to 12 range. Then actually getting pregnant itself was very difficult for me because I had a lot of issues around that time, and so I had to undergo a lot of treatments and everything. So we finally conceived in 2013 July actually, and it was through ovulation induction.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then actually, though we are based out of Bangalore, Vikas's first job was at Chennai. So for 3 years we were at Chennai, and when I conceived, I was at Chennai actually.
Okay.
So there, and Vikas was so there. We knew a lot of first, and then so there I was having my weekly checkups and consultation and everything. So without coming to Bangalore, we were managing at Chennai itself.
So what gestation of your pregnancy did you come to Bangalore?
I came only after 3 months. After the 13th week, I came to Bangalore. By train we came. Actually, it so happened that when I conceived and I went for the first scan, they found a heartbeat and they said everything is normal and there is no issues. And so she asked me to come back for the scan, for the 12th week scan. So just the scan date was around September 20th, around sometime like that. Then it so happened that 2 days before that date, I had a spotting. So Vikas and me were alarmed and we went to the hospital immediately, and they did a scan to see what was wrong, why the spotting has started. So and then that is when we knew that we have conceived twins.
Oh, okay. So how many weeks gestation was it?
12th week.
12th week.
Yeah.
So double joy.
Yeah, it was quite a shock actually. And it so happened that I called home and I told my mom and everyone. My mom panicked, and the next flight she took and she came to Chennai, back to Bangalore. She went to bring me back to Bangalore.
So is there any family history of twins or premature births in your family?
Yes.
Havisha?
Yes, there is a lot of twins in our family. And also premature, not too many, but at least 2 or 3 I know of is there in the family. Not, I definitely not in this generation, much older generation.
Okay. Dr. Vikas, do you want to add anything, or you leave it to the woman of the house?
So, no, in fact, I was thinking back to that time, sir. So, all the kind of mix of emotions. So, of course, we had known that she has finally conceived, and it was a fairly up and down journey to conception itself. And when we saw the spotting, we definitely were alarmed. And post that is when we understood that it's a twin conception. So I was just thinking back to that time. And yes, of course, generally when the news is that it is twins, so we have 2 kinds of reactions. One is the family reaction, which is always double the joy. And for us, given our backgrounds, there was also a clinical reaction, which meant that it goes into a high-risk category. So we had mixed emotions, but we were definitely welcoming of the news.
So, Dr. Vikas, tell me, when you say high risk being a physician, what crossed your mind? Was it premature delivery or a C-section? What was crossing as a doctor in your mind?
So honestly to say, sir, at that time, probably as you mentioned, the awareness factor. So, for us, the awareness was probably not at the level that it could have been at that time. So we were just thinking in terms of two fetuses growing in a limited space. Would they have enough nutrition? Would they have any kind of growth retardation or any growth, some constriction or any constraints they might have. This was our concern. But all the same, since we had some family history of twins and other things, and they were all doing very well. So we thought, okay, probably it's in the genes and everything should be fine.
Okay. That's fair enough. So you answered this first question. When did you learn that you had conceived twins? What happened to your twins post-delivery, or where did you deliver?
Yeah.
Back to you.
After we came back to Bangalore, actually at the 12-week scan itself at Chennai, they had told us that there is a slight discordance in the twins, like around 4 to 5 days. So I need to go for regular scans to see if the discordance is persistent or consistent, or whether it's increasing. So discordance, so what happened, our family doctor, their gynecologist obstetricians, they had a hospital near my house. So we thought it's better they take care of me because they know me from when I was very small. So we thought we'll go to them itself. So every week I was going for scan, and then it so happened that the discordance was increasing. So then our doctor referred to us to another doctor saying, let's see what we do about the discordance, or what should we learn from that. So we went to another doctor, and she said that, the discordance is quite high and quite large, actually, the discordance. So she said, actually, one of the babies may not survive because I can see some anomalies also, she said. So this was around December. So I completed around 25 weeks that time when we learned all these things. It so happened that around 29 weeks, I suddenly, my water broke, and there was a premature rupture of membranes, and we rushed to the hospital immediately. So then we went to the same hospital, and it so happened that I was tense because Vikas was not around. He was at Chennai and I was at Bangalore, and he could not come at that very short notice. Like he missed his flight, and a lot of confusions happened. And the awareness what Vikas has or had at that time, nobody in the family had, and everybody was so confused about what should be done. And it so happens that now when we think about those things, we see we didn't even realize such simple things, that I had to be admitted in a hospital where there should have been an NICU. And that hospital didn't have an ICU, and their tie-up was with another nearby hospital. So whichever premature delivery happens in that hospital, they would shift the babies to that hospital where an ICU is there. So we didn't have any clue about all these things, and Vikas was not here, and it was a big mess actually. It was so confusing. Decide about what should be done next.
Okay, so you delivered there, and then they transferred these twins to
another hospital where NICU was there.
Okay, what happened after that, Dr. Havisha?
Yeah, I think Vikas will be better in telling that.
Okay.
So,
what age or how many hours after birth the babies were transferred to the other hospital?
Yes, sir. So actually speaking, one thing, when we think back about what we could have done better and what went wrong, what shouldn't have gone wrong, etc. One thing we realize is that, like how we have the technology today where we can just get on a video call. Somehow we did not have those arrangements between us. So there definitely was a communication gap, and there definitely was, I would say, even an awareness gap. So with my not being there and Havisha under the family care, including family members, family doctor, so it so happened that we didn't take the right decisions at the right time. So I was actually en route to the hospital. Rather, when I got down from the flight, the first phone call I received was from my father, congratulating that two lovely boys have been born. And of course, health-wise, we need to give them a lot of attention. Not everything seems to be okay. So as I reconstruct back, it was probably within 35 to 40 minutes of birth that the transfer actually happened. And it was within about an hour 10 minutes that they were actually both connected to ventilators in the NICU.
And they were born at 29 weeks, is it?
Yes, sir, 29 weeks.
So what happened after they connected in the ventilator in the other hospital?
So after this, actually, I would say for the next 6 to 7 days was a complete blur, sir. So we would get frequent clinical updates, and we heard like there was a grunting. This was Suvir, in fact. So for Suvir, he had a grunting, he had some difficulty breathing. So it was actually respiratory distress. And for the other baby, though there was no grunting as such, but he was also desaturating. So I mean, both even though they were on ventilator and the FiO2 levels were somewhere around between 25 to 40% in the initial days, but the desaturation episodes were still there. So we were a little alarmed, and also the clinical teams were, they were not very comfortable. So they were on edge, we were on edge, and it was all sort of permutations, combinations with regard to treatment. So they gave surfactant for both the babies. So we in fact got a second dose of surfactant as well. And, mix and match of steroids and caffeine and things. That's how it was. But it was all a blur for the entire first week.
So who was the discordant twin? Who was the one with
the baby that didn't survive?
Okay, and when did you lose the other baby?
Yeah, we as soon as they were admitted, like Vikas said, the treatment was going on for 1 week. We were extremely confused about what was happening, but we were allowed to see the babies every day. So me and Vikas were going every day to see and getting all the updates and everything. And they both were born on Jan 9th, 2014, and on Jan 23rd, we lost that baby. And so that is when me and Vikas decided that this treatment, what is going on here, it may not be sufficient or may not be okay, because they were like totally confused and they ran out of treatment. And so then we decided that we need to do something really, brave or something like that, to at least have one baby alive.
So by the time you came to Cloud9 with the Suvir, it was 2 weeks, was it?
It was, more than 2 weeks, doctor. I think the following week we decided and we moved Suvir.
I really appreciate you being candid and explaining the confusion and which has happened. And clearly it is, by the time Suvir came to us, he was quite a sick baby. In other words, if you see the X-ray here, his lungs were quite immature, and in fact it is showing the granular appearance, which we call it in medical terms as a chronic lung disease or BPD, bronchopulmonary dysplasia, which suggests that the baby has been on ventilator for quite some time. And when we looked at this on his left lung, if you see the heart has been compressed, and if you see the left lower lobe, which I'm showing in the arrows, there was a lot of translucency and it was quite difficult to be ventilated. And this portion was not responding to the treatment, whereas the rest of the lungs started responding to treatment differently. Over a period of time, we realized that that left lower lobe was actually like a bubble, and it burst and it caused the pneumothorax, and it was interfering with his recovery. It was pushing the heart, and finally the tough decision had to be taken, because he was only 3 weeks old, and we decided in conjunction with surgeon Dr. Anand Daladi to remove this portion of the lung, which is a major surgery, as you both knew.
Yes.
And after that, the surgery was done. The left lower lobe was removed, and definitely Suvir made a significant improvement following the surgery, and we could not wean him off the ventilator for quite some time because he had a left lower lobe damage.
Yes.
This is the surgical site operation which Dr. Anand Daladi kindly provided from his archives, and you can see his upper lobe on the left side was separated from the left lower lobe, which was the damaged portion of the lung. And this, once it is removed, his lungs recovered remarkably. Over the next few days, Havisha could have him over to her bedside, and the first cuddle happened after how long?
We were doing this one's kangaroo care and all that. We were coming and doing, but without from the NICU when he came out was around 75 days from birth.
75 days, that's 2.5 months.
Yes.
So it is definitely what we call as a significant event in Suvir's life.
Yes.
And 75 days not cuddling a baby is quite significant, and it's not easy for any parent to cope with that. Plus the uncertainty whether he was going to make it with all the lung surgery and other problems. So we really appreciate both Havisha and Vikas summarizing in such a short time what they have gone through. But clearly that was a long time to struggle and suffer. And now Suvir is going to be celebrating 8th birthday.
8th birthday, so
January.
that's right.
Yeah. Suvir is going to be perfectly normal boy. He has not had any damage, as a lot of people think. You can see him on the screen. And do you have any take-home message, Dr. Vikas and Dr. Havisha, for the prospective parents who may be faced with a premature birth?
So I can, what we learned, me and Havisha, during the time that, we spent outside the NICU looking at him and, spending those few moments just touching him, talking to the clinical team and all. So what our experience was that just to have that courage, and even if we don't have the inner courage, definitely the clinical teams who are well trained, who know what they are doing, they provide us that courage. And it was not always easy for us. Today we are smiling and, we're really happy with the progress Suvir has shown. But at that time, it was all uncertainty. But given that we were given very clear communication, very timely updates, and we were told situations as they were. If things were going downhill, we were told it's going downhill. If things were getting better, we were told it was better. And I still remember the time that, when we actually came to Cloud9 the first time, and we met Dr. Ramya, who came down from the NICU. She heard the whole clinical history. And, what really struck us was that in spite of Suvir being such a sick baby, so she was able to take a call very quickly and say, yes, we can take over this child. And the combination of that clinical guts and the kind of infrastructure that is there and the way the team functions, when we shifted, it was a risky shifting. And when Suvir came to the NICU, we could immediately see that there was something different. He looked a little more comfortable in his new setting. And with that, we got a lot of comfort. So what I would tell parents is that sometimes we have to take a brave decision. We should show guts, even if we feel scared inside. We should have that courage, show that guts. And generally, the outcomes are better when we approach it positively. And sir, absolutely, as you put it, that keeping the parents away from the child, etc. We believe that every touch, we have a transfer of energy, from us to the child, or we get some clue from the child also. So I think these are all precious moments that, regardless of what fear we have as parents, we must go through that with the right courage.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Vikas. Dr. Havisha, I'm sorry to ask you when you're choked for the words. Do you want to have any comments for the prospective parents?
Yeah, I would really tell parents who are having pregnancy from beginning to be aware of prematurity and to go into a hospital where there is an NICU setting and also all the facilities available at once.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Havisha. Thank you, Dr. Vikas. I think both Dr. Havisha and Dr. Vikas need a big clapping on their hands because they have been very open and candid about their story. Many times, though we may know the back of the mind, we may not be realizing as parents. Now, there is enough evidence that premature babies have a higher chance of survival if they deliver in a place where there is a neonatal intensive care unit. We are all always correct retrospectively, but prospectively we may not realize. And that's exactly what happened to Havisha. She delivered knowingly or unknowingly in a place there was no neonatal intensive care unit, subsequently transferred to another place where there was a neonatal intensive care unit, which may or may not be equipped to deal with small babies at 29 weeks. Not all premature babies are the same. Extremely premature babies, especially less than 28 weeks, are complex. Multiple births need comprehensive care, and not all NICUs are the same. A good NICU needs to have a comprehensive team which includes neonatologists, obstetricians, experienced in high-risk pregnancies, neonatal nurses, pediatric surgeons, pediatric cardiologists, pediatric ophthalmologists, developmental pediatricians, nutritionists, physiotherapists, and so on. Plus, latest technology, which Dr. Vikas is very much aware now, and as a parent and also as a person working for the GE technology now, good survival record. That is equally important. If you go to any hospital, you need to look at their survival records, and they need to be baby and family friendly. With that, I want to thank Dr. Havisha and thanks Dr. Vikas, because it's not always easy to come and talk about the difficulties they have had. They have been wonderful, and I sincerely thank Suvir for also having agreed to be part of this, which we discussed only 3 days ago with hardly any notice, despite their busy schedule. We also thank our team of nurses, pediatric surgeon Dr. Anand Alladi, and neonatologist colleagues Nandini Nagar, Girish, and duty pediatricians, and the whole team of NICU at Cloud9 Jayanagar, and the digital team for having facilitated this at such short notice, purely to raise awareness about prematurity and what precautions you should take in case you go through premature delivery on this World Prematurity Day. We wish Master Suvir an advanced happy 8th birthday and have a big party, Suvir. Suvir, do you want to say anything?
Thank you.
Say hi. Any closing comments, Dr. Vikas and Dr. Havisha?
Yes, sir. So I just wish that the parents who are going through what we went through, they just take a look at Suvir and see how perfectly normal he is. And we have been blessed as parents to have him. And, watching him through all the stages, he needed a little support in terms of nutrition, physiotherapy, and other things. But the experience of parenting him has been wonderful. And I can't agree more, sir, that premature babies definitely are miracle babies. Every single day that we are with him, we consider that as a miracle for us.
Yeah. The learning points from your story, Dr. Vikas, is very simple. I think you have never had a history of any major problems in your family with the deliveries or premature. So most women, when they become pregnant, think of the same. We never had any problems. So why will we? And being Indians, we always think positive. We don't think negative. So we don't think that anything can go wrong. And that's fact of life. But when we face with the premature births, I mean, all of us are right in retrospective ways, but hopefully the awareness campaign like this and people like you talking openly, because not many people will talk about their stories, will help a lot of parents. And as you clearly mentioned, though he was premature, he was a surviving twin, he had so much of lung problem, is completely normal. That is very, very reassuring to a lot of parents who are faced with premature births, because they fear that premature babies, if they're ventilated, they think that they will be damaged. And he's a living proof that is completely normal and he's doing well. And he's doing well because of the fantastic care being given by your families. And you have been wonderful parents, and you have done the wonderful thing to look after him so well. And you have virtually sacrificed first 3 years of your careers, both of you. So hats off to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Doctor. And it was a great opportunity for us to share our story on this platform.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful, sir. Thank you so much.